Get your dirty hands off my Ferrari! The voice cracked like a whip through the parking garage. Richard Blackstone stormed toward his cherry-red 488 Spider, face purple with rage. Sir, I was just cleaning the— I don't care what you were doing! Blackstone shoved Damon Williams backward into his cleaning cart. Tools scattered across concrete. This car costs more than your entire bloodline will ever see. I'm sorry, Mr. Blackstone. I didn't mean— You people always have excuses. Spit flew from Blackstone's mouth. Touch my property again and you're gone. You hear me? Back to whatever ghetto spawned you. Damon's voice stayed calm. Yes, sir. Won't happen again. Other employees froze in the shadows, phones half raised. Nobody moved to help. Then Blackstone tried starting his Ferrari. Click, click. Nothing. The engine was completely dead. His $50 million investor meeting started in 2 hours. Have you ever been so blinded by prejudice that you couldn't see the solution standing right in front of you? Technova Industries rose like a glass cathedral against the San Jose skyline. 40 floors of cutting-edge AI robotics, where million-dollar machines assembled the future. The executive garage sat beneath it all, a temple to Silicon Valley wealth. Blackstone's Ferrari sat silent, dead. This can't be happening. He turned the key again. Click, click. Not today. Damon gathered his scattered cleaning supplies, moving slowly to avoid further confrontation. 3 years of night shifts had taught him when to disappear. You! Blackstone's finger stabbed toward him. What did you do to my car? Nothing, sir. I only cleaned the— Security, get down here now! Within minutes, 2 guards appeared with tablet screens, reviewing garage footage. Blackstone paced like a caged animal, designer shoes clicking against concrete. There, right there. He jabbed at the screen. Look at him touching my car! I want him arrested for sabotage! The security footage showed Damon's gentle cleaning motions. Nothing else. Sir, he's just wiping the hood, Guard Martinez said carefully. I don't care. He damaged something. Cars don't just die. Other employees trickled into the garage, drawn by the shouting. They hugged the walls, watching the drama unfold while pretending to check their own vehicles. Blackstone's phone buzzed. His face went white. The investors are early. They're in the lobby. His voice cracked. This presentation determines our IPO. Without it, we're finished. He dialed frantically. Ferrari of Silicon Valley? I need emergency service now. What do you mean next week? This is Richard Blackstone. I own half this valley. The dealer couldn't help. Neither could the next 3 shops. Blackstone Automotive? You service Ferraris, right? Well, fix this one. I'll pay triple. What? You're booked until Friday? Each rejection pushed him deeper into panic. Sweat stained his $1,000 shirt despite the cool garage air. Bay Area Exotic Motors? This is an emergency. I'll pay $10,000 cash right now. What do you mean you don't do house calls? More employees gathered in the garage. Jennifer Wu from marketing whispered to her colleague, should someone help him? Help the man who just called our janitor those names? Let him figure it out. Word spread through the building like wildfire. Hashtag Technova drama was already trending on internal Slack channels. Videos of the initial confrontation circulated between departments. Blackstone noticed the growing audience and his rage multiplied. What are you all staring at? Get back to work. This is all your fault anyway. He pointed at Damon. If people like him knew their place, none of this would happen. The crowd recoiled at the naked prejudice. Several junior engineers pulled out phones, recording everything. All staff to the main lobby. Emergency meeting. Now! The intercom crackled through every floor. Within 15 minutes, 200 employees packed the marble atrium. Whispers echoed off glass walls as people live-streamed to social media. Damon stood in the back, mop bucket at his side. He'd seen this before. When executives panicked, Service workers became scapegoats. "Ladies and gentlemen," Blackstone's voice boomed through the space. "Someone in this building has sabotaged company property. My vehicle was tampered with, and now our biggest investor meeting of the year is in jeopardy." He pointed directly at Damon. "This individual was caught on camera interfering with my Ferrari. He will now publicly apologize for his actions and face immediate termination." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Phones rose like a forest of black rectangles, recording everything. "Sir, I didn't damage anything," Damon said quietly. "Shut up! You will apologize to this company and these investors for nearly destroying our future." Dr. Elena Vasquez stepped forward from the engineering department. As head of robotics, she was one of the few executives who treated everyone with respect. "Richard, perhaps we should review the footage more carefully before—" "Stay out of this, Elena! This is about accountability, about knowing your place in the food chain." The crowd shifted uncomfortably. Junior engineers exchanged glances. They knew this was wrong, but challenging the CEO meant career suicide in Silicon Valley's cutthroat environment. "Apologize," Blackstone commanded. "In front of everyone. And mean it." Damon's hands trembled slightly, but his voice remained steady. "I apologize if my cleaning caused any problems. That was never my intention." The forced apology satisfied no one. It only highlighted the injustice playing out in real time. Several employees lowered their phones, disgusted by what they were witnessing. Others kept recording, knowing this would end up on YouTube within hours. Blackstone's assistant, Rebecca, rushed in with her tablet, face pale with panic. She whispered urgently in his ear. His face went from red to ashen. "The Japanese delegation is here. They're asking why we're not in the conference room. And, sir, they can see your car from the conference room windows." Through the lobby's floor-to-ceiling windows, everyone could see 3 men in expensive suits examining the motionless Ferrari below. One took photos. Another made detailed notes on a tablet. The third shook his head disapprovingly. "This is a disaster," Blackstone muttered. "My career is over. The board will have my head." HR Director Karen Mueller appeared at his side like a vulture in a business suit. She'd been Blackstone's sorority sister at Stanford, hired more for loyalty than competence. "I'm already drafting termination papers," she whispered loud enough for nearby employees to hear. "We can blame equipment damage and have him escorted out by security." "Good. Make it stick. I want him blacklisted from every tech company in the Valley. Make sure he never works in Silicon Valley again." The cruelty was breathtaking, destroying a man's entire career over a dead car battery. Damon overheard every word. After 3 years of perfect performance reviews, glowing supervisor reports, and 0 incidents, he was about to lose everything because a rich man needed someone to blame. Other employees exchanged uncomfortable glances. They'd all witnessed the truth, but corporate politics made heroes scarce. Everyone had families to feed, mortgages to pay. Marcus Carter from IT cleared his throat. "Maybe we should check if anyone who interferes with this disciplinary action will join him in the unemployment line," Blackstone snapped. "I don't care if you're engineers, managers, or janitors. Cross me today and you're gone." The threat worked like ice water. Voices died, eyes dropped. Solidarity crumbled under the weight of student loans and Silicon Valley's crushing cost of living. "I don't care what it takes," Blackstone shouted into his phone. "Find me a mechanic who can fix a Ferrari in the next hour, or we're all unemployed." Dead silence fell over the lobby. The Japanese investors were now pointing at various details of the car, their concern obvious even from 40 feet away. One was clearly taking video footage. They'd specifically requested to see Technova's attention to detail and precision engineering culture during this critical visit. A broken CEO's car was exactly the wrong first impression for a $50 million investment deal. Blackstone's phone rang again. His face lit up with desperate hope, then crashed harder than before. "What do you mean the earliest appointment is Thursday? This is an emergency. Do you know who I am? I will donate to your charity events." Apparently, even unlimited money and social connections couldn't bend the laws of automotive scheduling. "Sir," Dr. Vasquez said gently, "perhaps we could call a general automotive service. Those people don't know Ferraris. This is a precision Italian machine worth $300,000, not some Honda Civic. They'd probably make it worse." His classist assumptions were showing again. In Blackstone's world, only the most expensive solutions could possibly work. Regular mechanics were beneath consideration. The Japanese lead investor was now taking photos of the Ferrari from multiple angles. He showed his tablet to his colleagues, who frowned and took their own notes. Definitely bad signs. Rebecca approached cautiously. "Sir, they're asking if we should reschedule." "No! We reschedule nothing! This company's future depends on this meeting." Damon watched the chaos unfold from his corner, his trained eye automatically analyzing the situation. He'd heard enough similar problems in his father's garage to recognize the symptoms. The clicking sound, the complete electrical failure, the timing after overnight parking in a cool garage. He knew exactly what was wrong, and he knew how to fix it. But suggesting a solution would mean speaking up, and speaking up meant risking everything he'd worked to build over 3 years. The smart play was staying silent, invisible, safe. "This is hopeless," Blackstone groaned. 20 years building this company and it's destroyed by some ignorant janitor and a broken car. You won't believe what happens when this underestimated janitor finally decides to speak up. Detroit, 1995. 12-year-old Damon Williams sat cross-legged on the concrete floor of his father's garage, watching magic happen under the hood of a Mercedes SL500. The car had stumped 3 dealerships. Electrical gremlins, they'd called it. Impossible to diagnose. The owner, a Grosse Pointe executive, had offered Marcus Williams double his usual rate out of desperation. Marcus moved like a surgeon around the engine bay. No fancy diagnostic computers, no $1,000 scanners, just his hands, his ears, and 30 years of experience. "Listen, son." Marcus placed a stethoscope against the engine block. "Every machine has a heartbeat. This one's heart is skipping beats." Damon watched his father's weathered fingers trace electrical connections, feeling for heat variations that computers couldn't detect. The garage smelled like motor oil and possibility. "Found you," Marcus whispered. A corroded ground wire hidden behind the alternator, invisible to cameras, obvious to patient hands. 15 minutes to fix. 3 dealerships couldn't find it in 3 weeks. The Mercedes purged to life, smooth as silk. "How did you know, Dad?" Marcus knelt beside his son, oil-stained hands gentle on small shoulders. "Rich folks think complexity means you need expensive tools. Truth is, you need patient ears and steady hands. Machines don't lie, Damon. People do." From that day forward, Damon lived in the garage. After school, weekends, summer breaks. While other kids played video games, he learned the language of pistons and transmissions. The garage sat in Detroit's Corktown district, a hidden gem among abandoned factories. Word spread through Detroit's elite circles. When dealerships failed, Marcus Williams delivered miracles. Pistons players brought their Lamborghinis. Auto executives smuggled in their personal Porsches. Old money Grosse Pointe families trusted Marcus with their vintage Ferraris. "Why do rich people always yell first?" teenage Damon asked after a particularly unpleasant customer left. Marcus handed him a wrench. "Fear. They're terrified someone will discover they don't know everything. So they get loud, hoping volume equals authority." The customer had been especially cruel, making racist comments while Marcus diagnosed his Porsche 911's transmission issues. Damon wanted to loosen something important. Make the man pay. "Son, are you listening?" Marcus's voice was firm but kind. "We don't fix people. We fix machines. You start playing games with revenge, you become just like them." "But Dad," He called you. I heard what he called me. Been hearing it my whole life. Marcus's hands never stopped working. But his hatred doesn't change my purpose. Fix the problem, not the blame. Remember that. Fix the problem, not the blame. The motto became their creed, painted on the garage wall, whispered during difficult repairs, applied to life beyond automobiles. Years blurred together in a symphony of precision. Damon learned to identify transmission problems by sound alone, could diagnose electrical issues through fingertip vibrations, understood the subtle language of European engineering. Ferrari F1-derived systems became his specialty, the way Italian engineers married art with performance. Every bolt had purpose. Every connection demanded respect. Germans build machines, Marcus explained, working on a BMW M5. Italians build sculptures that happen to move. Different philosophies, different approaches. You need to think like the engineer who designed it. By 18, Damon could rebuild Ferrari transmissions blindfolded. His hands moved with surgical precision, muscle memory replacing conscious thought. But 2008 shattered everything. The financial crisis hit Detroit like a meteor. Auto executives stopped buying luxuries. Wealthy clients fled to safer investments. The garage's exclusive clientele evaporated overnight. Marcus fought to keep the doors open, sold personal tools, mortgaged the house. Nothing worked. American automotive culture was dying, and specialist garages died with it. Time to go west, son, Marcus said quietly, signing the final papers. California's building the future. Maybe there's room for what we know. They planned the move together, father and son, heading to Silicon Valley's promised land. Marcus would establish a new garage. Damon would attend community college, earn proper certifications, and build a legitimate automotive career. But Marcus's heart gave out 3 weeks before the move. 62 years old, decades of stress, financial pressure, and broken dreams. He died in the hospital with a wrench still in his back pocket. Damon arrived in California alone, carrying his father's tools, his father's knowledge, and a grief that felt like engine weight. But California's automotive industry demanded paperwork he didn't have. ASE certifications, formal training, official licenses. His 15 years of hands-on experience meant nothing without proper documentation. The bureaucracy was impenetrable. Certification courses cost thousands. Testing took months, and he needed immediate income to survive. Technova's night janitor position offered steady wages and health benefits. Temporary, he told himself, just until I get certified. 3 years later, he was still mopping floors, still carrying his father's tools, still hearing that patient voice, fix the problem, not the blame. Now, watching Blackstone's meltdown in the lobby, Damon's trained ear heard the truth everyone else missed. That Ferrari wasn't broken. It was crying for help. The crisis deepened by the minute. Blackstone's phone calls grew more desperate, his voice cracking with each rejection. Exclusive Motors? You're my last hope. I'll pay anything. 20,000 cash. His face crumpled. What do you mean you don't do emergency calls? The Japanese investors remained visible through the conference room windows, clearly growing impatient. One checked his watch repeatedly. Another made notes that looked increasingly negative. Sir, Rebecca whispered urgently, they're asking about rescheduling. The lead investor says mechanical reliability reflects company values. Blackstone's empire was crumbling in real time. The IPO depended on this partnership. Without Japanese funding, Technova would collapse within months. I can't reschedule. Our quarterly projections, the board meeting, everything hinges on today. He dialed another number. Bay Area Ferrari Service. This is Richard Blackstone, CEO of Technova Industries. I need it immediately. What? You're closed for renovations? Each rejection pushed him deeper into panic. Sweat stained his designer shirt collar despite the air conditioning. Continental Motors? You advertise a 24-hour service. What do you mean, not for Ferraris? The crowd watched his desperation with mixed emotions. Some felt sympathy. Others enjoyed watching arrogance crumble. Most just wanted the embarrassing spectacle to end. Dr. Elena Vasquez stepped forward from the engineering crowd. At 55, she commanded respect throughout Silicon Valley. Former NASA propulsion specialist, MIT doctorate, the kind of credibility that opened doors and ended arguments. Richard, perhaps we should consider alternative solutions. Like what? Every qualified shop is booked. What about internal expertise? We employ hundreds of engineers. Blackstone scoffed. Robotics engineers don't know cars, Elena. This is a Ferrari, not a washing machine. The dismissal stung. Several mechanical engineers exchanged offended glances. They'd spent decades mastering precision systems, but automotive work was apparently beneath their qualifications. Through the windows, the Japanese delegation grew more restless. One investor was now photographing the Ferrari extensively, documenting the failure for his superiors. This is a disaster, Blackstone muttered to himself. The board will crucify me. 25 years building this company, destroyed by a dead car. His assistant Rebecca checked her phone constantly. Sir, the investor's flight back to Tokyo leaves at 6 p.m. They need answers soon. I know. He dialed frantically. German auto specialists? You work on Porsches, right? Can you fix a Ferrari? What? That's completely different engineering? Each call revealed Blackstone's ignorance. He assumed all foreign cars were interchangeable. Italian precision was just expensive marketing to him. Premium exotic motors? I'll pay $50,000. What do you mean your Ferrari technician quit last month? The Japanese investors were now standing at the conference room windows, pointing at the motionless Ferrari and shaking their heads visibly. One was clearly on his phone, probably with Tokyo headquarters. Sir, Guard Martinez approached cautiously. Maybe we should ask if anyone here has automotive experience. These people? Blackstone gestured at the crowd like they were furniture. Software developers and accountants? I need Italian automotive specialists, not keyboard warriors. The insults kept flowing. Each word drove deeper wedges between CEO and staff. Phones captured every condescending remark for social media posterity. Damon remained silent in the back corner, invisible among the crowd. His father's tools felt heavy under his coveralls. The solution sat right there in his hands, in his knowledge. But speaking meant exposure, risk, potential humiliation in front of everyone he worked with. Bavarian Motors? You're German. You understand precision engineering, right? What? Ferraris use completely different systems? Blackstone's automotive ignorance was becoming painfully obvious. He thought expensive meant interchangeable. Dr. Vasquez noticed Damon's stillness. Something about his posture suggested deep thought rather than passive observation. She'd worked with enough engineers to recognize problem-solving concentration. For 3 years, she'd watched Damon maintain their robotics lab. He approached every task with unusual precision. When million-dollar assembly robots developed mysterious vibrations, Damon somehow identified problems their engineers missed. Excuse me, she said quietly, moving toward Damon. You maintain our precision equipment, don't you? Damon nodded, surprised by the attention. Yes, ma'am. Third shift maintenance. I've noticed our lab efficiency improved significantly since you started. Our robot downtime dropped to almost 0. Other employees turned to listen. Dr. Vasquez's endorsement carried weight throughout the company. Do you have mechanical experience beyond janitorial work? Damon hesitated. Truth meant revealing his background, his father's garage, his uncertified expertise, his dreams of professional recognition. Some experience, yes, ma'am. Blackstone overheard and exploded. Elena, don't encourage this nonsense. The man's a janitor. Richard, desperate times require creative thinking. Creative thinking? It's a Ferrari 488 Spider. You need Italian certification, specialized tools, factory training, not some... He gestured dismissively at Damon. Not some amateur with delusions of competence. The crowd murmured at the naked contempt. Several engineers shook their heads in disgust at their CEO's behavior. High-end automotive? Do you specialize in luxury vehicles? Perfect. What? Your Ferrari guy is in Italy for training? More doors slammed shut. The net was closing around Blackstone's desperate situation. Dr. Vasquez's voice hardened. This amateur has maintained our $1 million precision robots for 3 years without a single mechanical failure. Sure, robots aren't cars. Both require precision mechanical understanding, systems thinking, diagnostic capability. It's completely different. Cars have combustion engines, transmissions, real mechanical complexity. His dismissal revealed more ignorance. Modern robots contained systems far more complex than most automotive components. The Japanese investors were now clearly watching the drama unfold. One held up his phone, obviously filming the proceedings. Rebecca rushed over with her tablet, face pale. "Sir, they want to know our timeline. They're considering leaving if we can't demonstrate basic operational competency." Operational competency. The words hit like bullets. Blackstone's phone rang again, his face lit with desperate hope. "Premium auto services? Thank God. Can you fix Italian exotics? What? Your Ferrari specialist is on vacation until Monday?" Another door slammed shut. The automotive world was conspiring against him. Elite Motors? Surely. What? You don't work on cars newer than 2015? Damon watched the chaos with growing internal conflict. His father's voice echoed, "Fix the problem, not the blame." But fixing meant risking everything he'd built over 3 years. "Sir," Dr. Vasquez said carefully, "what if we allow Damon to examine the vehicle? Just to look." "Absolutely not. I won't have some unqualified person making the damage worse." What damage could it look like? Blackstone's logic crumbled under pressure. He was drowning and rejecting life preservers based on prejudice alone. The Japanese lead investor approached the lobby windows, staring directly at the crowd below. His expression suggested serious concerns about Technova's management competency. HR Director Mueller whispered in Blackstone's ear, "This is getting out of hand. We need to end this now." "Fine," Blackstone snapped. "Fine. You want to embarrass this company further? Let him look. Let him prove how useless he is." The crowd shifted uncomfortably. This felt like feeding Christians to lions. Blackstone's voice rose to address everyone. "Since Dr. Vasquez believes our janitor has magical automotive powers, let's test that theory." He checked his Rolex dramatically. "You have exactly 60 seconds to diagnose my Ferrari. 60 seconds to prove you're not the saboteur you appear to be." 60 seconds. Not enough time for proper analysis. Just enough for public humiliation. "Make it run or face the consequences. And I mean serious consequences." HR Director Mueller smiled coldly, termination papers ready in her briefcase. The Japanese investors were now pressed against the conference room windows, watching every moment of the unfolding disaster. "Everyone will witness this pathetic display," Blackstone announced. "When he fails, we'll know exactly who's responsible for destroying this company's future." Damon felt 200 pairs of eyes focusing on him. Phones rose like weapons. His heart hammered against his ribs. Dr. Vasquez approached quietly. "I've seen your work in our lab. You have gifts beyond what people recognize. Trust your instincts." Her words carried weight beyond encouragement. She was putting her reputation on the line for him. The Ferrari waited below like a sleeping dragon. 60 seconds to diagnose. 60 seconds to prove himself. 60 seconds to honor his father's memory. Damon looked at the hostile crowd, at Blackstone's sneer, at Dr. Vasquez's encouraging nod. His father's tools felt warm against his chest. "Fix the problem, not the blame. Time to find out if 15 years of hidden expertise could survive 60 seconds of public scrutiny. Damon descended to the garage with 200 people watching from above. Every step echoed through the concrete chamber. Phones pressed against lobby windows, recording his every movement. 60 seconds starts now! Blackstone's voice boomed through the intercom. The Ferrari 488 Spider sat like a wounded predator. Cherry red paint gleaming under fluorescent lights. $300,000 of Italian engineering, silent and still. Damon approached slowly, removing his janitor gloves with deliberate precision. From beneath his coveralls, he withdrew a leather tool roll that looked older than the building itself. His father's instruments. The crowd murmured as snap-on precision tools emerged. Calibrated torque wrenches worth $3,000, digital multimeters, a stethoscope worn smooth by decades of use, professional-grade diagnostic equipment. These weren't janitor supplies. "What the hell?" someone whispered from the lobby. "Where did those come from?" 55 seconds, Blackstone announced, voice dripping with anticipated vindication. Damon placed the stethoscope against the Ferrari's transmission housing. The crowd above pressed closer to windows, watching him move with surgical focus. He listened for 15 seconds while everyone counted down loudly. Engine bay, transmission, differential. Each component told its story through vibration and silence. The Ferrari's engine bay was a masterpiece of Italian engineering. Carbon fiber covers concealed precision machinery. But Damon's trained ear heard past the aesthetics to the mechanical truth beneath. 45 seconds. His expression shifted from concentration to recognition. He'd heard this exact pattern before in his father's garage. A BMW M5 in 2009. Same symptoms. Same deceptive silence masking mechanical separation. "Dr. Vasquez," he called up to the lobby, his voice carrying clearly through the garage's acoustic chamber. "Could someone try starting the engine while I listen?" She nodded to Rebecca, who still held Blackstone's keys with trembling hands. The starter motor clicked repeatedly. Click, click, click. Nothing else. The engine didn't even attempt to turn over. Just an empty clicking that suggested complete electrical or mechanical failure. But Damon's stethoscope caught something everyone else missed. The clicking wasn't coming from the starter motor area. It was coming from underneath, near the rear of the car, where the transmission met the torque tube. 40 seconds! "The sound isn't from the starter," Damon announced to the crowd above. "It's from the torque tube connection. This isn't an electrical failure. It's mechanical separation creating false symptoms." Dr. Vasquez leaned forward, intrigued. She understood systems thinking. When one component fails, it can mimic problems elsewhere entirely. Diagnostic nightmare scenarios that stumped even experienced technicians. 35 seconds. The Japanese investors moved closer to their conference room windows, obviously fascinated by the unfolding diagnosis. One held his phone high, recording every moment. Damon slid under the Ferrari without a lift, his movements fluid and confident. The crowd gasped as he disappeared beneath $300,000 of precision machinery. "Is he insane?" someone whispered from above. "One wrong move and he'll destroy everything." But Damon's hands moved with practiced certainty, feeling along the transmission housing toward the rear differential. Ferrari's torque tube system was notorious for specific failure points that confused even dealership technicians. "What's he doing down there?" Jennifer Wu asked nervously. 30 seconds. His fingers traced the aluminum housing, feeling for heat variations and vibration patterns. The torque tube connected the transmission to the rear differential through a precision coupling system. When properly torqued, the connection was seamless. When loose, it created exactly these symptoms. 25 seconds. Damon's fingertips found the connection joint between transmission and torque tube. The bolt that should have been torqued to exactly 85 Newton meters was loose enough to turn by hand. "Found it," he called from beneath the car. His voice echoed off concrete, reaching every listener above. He slid out from under the Ferrari, holding a single bolt between his fingers. Torque tube coupling bolt. Should be tightened to 85 Newton meters with thread locker. This one's been vibrating loose for weeks, maybe months. The crowd stared at the small piece of metal that had caused such monumental chaos. 20 seconds! When this bolt loosens, Damon explained, his voice calm despite the pressure and 200 pairs of eyes watching his every move, it creates a gap in the drivetrain. The engine tries to start, but there's no mechanical connection to the wheels. The computer interprets this as catastrophic transmission failure. Dr. Vasquez nodded appreciatively. Elegant diagnosis. The symptom masqueraded as electronic failure, but the cause was purely mechanical. Classic systems confusion. 15 seconds! Blackstone's voice carried less confidence now. The impossible was happening before his eyes. Several engineers in the crowd began whispering excitedly. They recognized the sophistication of Damon's diagnostic approach. This wasn't a lucky guess. This was master-level troubleshooting. 10 seconds! Damon retrieved a calibrated torque wrench from his father's toolkit. The crowd watched in fascination as he selected the precise tool for the job, checking its calibration sticker with professional thoroughness. This requires exact torque specification, he explained while working, his voice steady despite the countdown pressure. Too loose and it fails again within days. Too tight, and you strip the threads or damage the torque tube housing. He applied a thin layer of thread locker to the bolt threads. High-temperature thread compound. Prevents future loosening under vibration and heat cycling. 5 seconds. The torque wrench clicked with mechanical precision as he slid back under the Ferrari. Once, twice, 3 times in a star pattern to ensure even pressure distribution across the coupling interface. 4, 3, 2... Time! Blackstone announced triumphantly, certain he'd witnessed public failure. But Damon was already sliding out from under the car, toolkit in hand, his movements calm and professional. The engine should start normally now, all drivetrain connections restored to specification. Silence fell over the garage like a heavy blanket. The crowd above held its collective breath. Dr. Vasquez descended via the elevator, keys in hand. "May I test the repair?" She turned the ignition with careful precision. The Ferrari's V8 engine roared to life with a sound like controlled thunder. Perfect idle at 850 RPM. No clicking, no grinding, no hesitation. Pure Italian symphony echoing off concrete walls. The crowd erupted in gasps and excited murmurs. Phones captured every moment of the mechanical resurrection. "Impossible," Blackstone whispered into the intercom, his voice barely audible above the engine's perfect rumble. Dr. Vasquez tested the transmission systematically. First gear engaged smoothly. Second gear. Third, each shift is crisp and immediate. The Ferrari responded like a precision instrument. She revved the engine. The V8 climbed to 3,000 RPM with seamless power delivery. No vibration, no unusual sounds. Complete mechanical harmony restored. "How did you know?" she asked Damon directly, shutting off the engine to hear his response. "German precision meets Italian passion," Damon replied, carefully packing his tools back into their worn leather roll. "But the principles are universal. Every machine speaks if you know how to listen." The Japanese investors were now pressed against the conference room windows, pointing excitedly at the scene below. Their expressions had completely transformed from concern to genuine amazement. "In 20 years of precision engineering," Dr. Vasquez announced to the crowd above, her voice carrying clearly through the garage, "I've never seen diagnostic skills like that. That was graduate-level systems thinking executed in under 60 seconds. The lobby erupted in spontaneous applause. Engineers who understood the true complexity of what they'd witnessed led the ovation. Marketing staff joined in. Even accounting people clapped. Blackstone stood frozen at the lobby railing, unable to process what had just happened. His worthless janitor had just saved his $50 million deal with knowledge that surpassed dealership specialists. "But that's impossible," he stammered into the intercom. He's just a janitor. This has to be luck." Dr. Vasquez's voice carried steel as she responded from the garage floor. "For 3 years, this man has maintained every piece of precision equipment in our robotics lab. Our $1 million assembly robots have a 99.7% uptime rate on his shift, industry-leading by any measure." She paused for emphasis, letting the statistics sink into every listening mind. "I've watched him diagnose micro-vibrations in our nano-assembly equipment that our engineers missed completely. He identifies problems by touch, by sound, by mechanical intuition that can't be taught in any university." The crowd listened with rapt attention. This was a revelation 3 years in the making. 3 months ago, our primary assembly robot developed an intermittent fault that cost us 12 hours of production daily. Our engineers ran comprehensive diagnostics for 2 weeks. Damon listened to it for 5 minutes and identified a bearing in the third-axis motor. Murmurs of recognition swept through the engineering staff. They remembered that expensive incident vividly. Last year, when our clean room lost environmental controls during a critical production run, Damon traced the problem to a sensor calibration drift that our automated systems missed entirely. Saved us $2 million in rejected parts. More nods from the technical staff. The pattern was becoming undeniably clear. This man doesn't just maintain machines. He understands them at a level that transcends formal training. He thinks like the engineers who designed them. Blackstone's world was crumbling. Everything he believed about hierarchy, education, and worth was collapsing in real time. The Ferrari sat purring behind them, proof that talent recognizes no boundaries. The garage fell silent except for the Ferrari's perfect idle. 200 people stared down from the lobby, phones still recording. The moment hung suspended like a held breath. Blackstone descended the stairs slowly, his face a mask of confusion and dawning horror. He'd nearly destroyed everything over his own prejudice. "Test drive," he said quietly, then louder. "Test drive. If there's any hesitation, any problem at all, he's still fired." His desperation was palpable. Even facing the obvious truth, he grasped for ways to maintain his worldview. Dr. Vasquez handed him the keys. "Your car, your test." Blackstone slid behind the Ferrari's wheel with trembling hands. The leather seat, heated to his exact preference, felt foreign now. Everything felt different. He pressed the start button. The V8 responded instantly, settling into its characteristic 850 RPM idle. Dashboard lights glowed green across every system. No warnings, no error codes. Perfect mechanical harmony. The Japanese investors moved from conference room to lobby windows, watching intently as Blackstone prepared to drive. "Full test," Dr. Vasquez called up to them. "Through the parking garage's spiral ramps. Real-world conditions." Takeshi Yamamoto nodded approvingly. In Japan, thorough testing was standard practice. No shortcuts. No assumptions. Blackstone engaged first gear. The clutch bit smoothly, no grinding or hesitation. The Ferrari moved forward like liquid mercury, responding to every input with precision. The parking garage's spiral ramp was a torture test for any vehicle. Tight turns, steep grades, constant gear changes. If problems existed, this would reveal them. First gear. Second. The transmission shifted with Swiss watch precision. No clicking. No vibration. Each gear engaged exactly when commanded. Up the first spiral. The engine pulled smoothly through the rev range. 2,000 RPM. 3,000. 4,000. Pure Italian symphony echoing off concrete walls. Third gear for the straightaway. The V8's power delivery felt seamless. No gaps or hesitations that would indicate drivetrain problems. Fourth gear. Fifth. The Ferrari climbed through the garage levels like it was born for this exact purpose. Everyone in the lobby tracked the sound. That distinctive Ferrari note, rising and falling through the concrete structure. Music to automotive enthusiasts, proof to skeptics. Blackstone's hands gripped the steering wheel tighter with each perfect shift. This wasn't possible. Janitors didn't possess this level of expertise. His worldview demanded some explanation that preserved hierarchy. Sixth gear on the top level. Full acceleration test. The Ferrari launched forward with breathtaking power. 500 horsepower delivered through a transmission that responded like an extension of thought. The descent was equally flawless. Engine braking engaged smoothly. Each downshift is crisp and immediate. The Ferrari handled the tight corners with precision that showcased its mechanical perfection. Through the lobby windows, everyone watched Blackstone's face transform. Confusion gave way to reluctant amazement. His Ferrari had never run this smoothly, even when new. The repair, Yamamoto said quietly to his colleagues, demonstrates exceptional mechanical understanding. This level of precision suggests systematic expertise. His partners nodded. They'd witnessed something remarkable. Not just a successful repair, but diagnostic mastery that impressed even Japanese manufacturing specialists. Blackstone completed the circuit and returned to the garage floor. The Ferrari purred to a stop, engine temperature perfect, all systems nominal. He sat in the driver's seat for a long moment, staring at the dashboard. Every gauge showed optimal performance. The car ran better than it had in months. Dr. Vasquez approached the driver's window. Assessment? Perfect, Blackstone whispered. Then louder. It's perfect. Better than perfect. He stepped out of the Ferrari, legs unsteady. The cognitive dissonance was overwhelming. Everything he believed about people, about talent, about worth had just been shattered by 60 seconds of mechanical genius. Damon stood quietly beside his toolkit, waiting. 3 years of invisibility had taught him patience. Success didn't guarantee safety in his world. The Japanese delegation descended via elevator, their faces bright with genuine excitement. A remarkable demonstration, Yamamoto said directly to Damon. In 30 years of precision manufacturing, I have rarely witnessed such intuitive diagnostic capability. He turned to include Dr. Vasquez and the watching crowd. Companies that recognize talent at every organizational level make the most reliable partners. This demonstration significantly increases our confidence in Teknova's technical culture. The words hit Blackstone like physical blows. His behavior had nearly destroyed the partnership. Only Damon's expertise had saved it. The precision of the diagnosis, Yamamoto continued, and the speed of implementation suggest master-level mechanical understanding. Such talent should be properly recognized and utilized. Vasquez stepped forward. Damon Williams, we need to discuss your future here. Immediately. The crowd above erupted in applause again. This time, even the accountants understood they were witnessing something special. Blackstone stood frozen, processing the magnitude of his error. He'd nearly fired the man who saved his company, nearly destroyed $50 million in business over prejudice and ignorance. The Ferrari sat behind them, engine ticking as it cooled. Proof that excellence recognizes no boundaries. Truth had a way of making itself heard, regardless of who tried to silence it. Dr. Vasquez's voice carried the authority of 20 years in Silicon Valley. Effective immediately, Teknova Industries offers Damon Williams the position of Senior Mechanical Systems Technician in our robotics division. The lobby erupted in cheers. Phones captured every word as she continued. Starting salary, $85,000 annually, full engineering track advancement, company benefits package, direct report to the engineering department. Takeshi Yamamoto stepped forward, addressing both Damon and the crowd above. Osaka Precision Industries specifically requests Mr. Williams to oversee mechanical integration for our joint venture. Your diagnostic capabilities align perfectly with Japanese precision standards. The partnership was not just saved, it was strengthened by Damon's demonstration. Responsibility includes, Dr. Vasquez announced, leading mechanical systems for our new $12 million AI assembly line. You'll oversee predictive maintenance protocols and train our engineering staff in advanced diagnostic techniques. Blackstone remained silent, processing the complete reversal of everything he'd assumed about talent and hierarchy. The man he'd tried to destroy was now essential to his company's future. Additionally, Dr. Vasquez held up an official document. Technova will sponsor your ASE Master Certification Program. Full tuition reimbursement, study time during work hours, company vehicle for transportation to testing facilities. The crowd's applause intensified. After 3 years of invisibility, Damon was receiving recognition that should have come long ago. One final detail, she smiled. Your company vehicle will be maintained by Technova's new Precision Automotive Services division, with you as our consulting specialist for executive fleet maintenance. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Blackstone's Ferrari would now fall under Damon's professional oversight. Damon looked at the crowd, at Dr. Vasquez, at the Japanese investors nodding their approval. After 3 years of mopping floors while carrying his father's expertise, opportunity had finally found him. I accept, he said simply. The lobby exploded in celebration. Engineers who'd watched the drama unfold cheered for justice served. Marketing staff filmed the moment for company social media. Even security guards applauded. Blackstone watched his former janitor shake hands with international investors and department heads. The man he'd called worthless was now essential to Technova's future. Dr. Vasquez handed Damon an official Technova engineering polo, embroidered with Senior Mechanical Systems Technician and his name. The transformation was complete. The consequences arrived swiftly and precisely, like well-calibrated machinery finding its natural balance. Within 24 hours, Technova's board of directors convened an emergency session. The Ferrari incident, now viral across social media platforms with #Technova Justice trending, demanded immediate response. Board Chairman Margaret Carter's voice was ice-cold during Blackstone's performance review. Richard, your behavior yesterday was captured on dozens of phones. Our company's reputation depends on how we handle this. The video footage was damning. Blackstone's racist outburst, his public humiliation of an employee, his stubborn refusal to acknowledge expertise. Everything is preserved in high-definition clarity. The Japanese partnership specifically cited yesterday's events as evidence of our commitment to recognizing talent at all levels, Carter continued. Ironically, your attempts to destroy an employee actually convinced them we have a strong technical culture. Blackstone shifted uncomfortably. Success despite his actions, not because of them. Effective immediately, you will undergo comprehensive leadership training. Unconscious bias workshops, diversity and inclusion seminars, employee relations certification. Your performance reviews will now include talent development metrics. The board wasn't finished. Additionally, all executive decisions regarding employee discipline must now be reviewed by a committee, including Dr. Vasquez and employee representatives. No more unilateral terminations. The corporate consequences aligned perfectly with employment law and governance standards. No vindictive punishment, just systematic accountability. HR Director Karen Mueller faced her own reckoning. The board reviewed her handling of the situation with particular scrutiny. Karen, you attempted to terminate a high-value employee without proper investigation, Carter noted. Your personal relationship with Richard compromised your professional judgment. Mueller's termination papers for Damon sat on the table like evidence of incompetence. Formal reprimand for failure to recognize internal talent. You'll personally apologize to Mr. Williams and implement new skills assessment protocols for all service staff. Your performance bonus is suspended pending completion of professional development requirements. The systemic changes spread throughout Technova like precision clockwork. The company established the Williams Protocol, skills assessment programs allowing any employee to demonstrate hidden capabilities. Janitors could show engineering knowledge, Receptionists could reveal programming expertise. Security guards could display technical skills. A formal mentorship pipeline connected service roles to technical positions. Tuition reimbursement expanded to cover professional certifications for all staff levels. The employee handbook was rewritten to emphasize internal talent development. 6 months later, the results spoke for themselves. Damon's predictive maintenance protocols reduced equipment downtime by 31%. His diagnostic training became company-wide standard, saving hundreds of thousands in repair costs. 3 former cafeteria workers had transitioned to programming roles after demonstrating coding abilities. 2 security guards completed engineering certification programs. A receptionist became the company's lead database administrator. The changes weren't just internal. Industry publications wrote case studies about Technova's innovative talent recognition programs. Harvard Business School requested permission to study their employee development model. Most satisfying of all, Blackstone's executive parking spot was relocated. His new space sat directly adjacent to Damon's assigned parking area, where a company-provided vehicle displayed Senior Mechanical Systems Technician on professionally installed door placards. Every morning, Blackstone walked past the constant reminder of his nearly catastrophic error in judgment. The Ferrari incident became required viewing in Technova's orientation program. New employees learned how the company discovered one of its most valuable assets by accident, nearly lost him to prejudice, and built better systems to prevent future oversights. During quarterly investor calls, Blackstone was required to present Damon's efficiency improvements as evidence of the company's commitment to excellence. Justice wasn't vengeful. It was systematic, precise, perfectly calibrated to prevent future failures while strengthening the entire organization. The machine of accountability had found its proper balance. Today, Damon Williams leads Technova's precision engineering team. His father's weathered tools now calibrate million-dollar robots with the same gentle precision that once saved luxury cars in Detroit's forgotten corners. The Ferrari purrs in the executive garage, maintained by hands that understand its Italian soul. But the most valuable inheritance wasn't mechanical knowledge. It was wisdom whispered in a Corktown garage. Fix the problem, not the blame. Talent doesn't announce itself with degrees or designer clothes. It whispers in steady hands that heal broken things. Sometimes the person who can save your world is the one you've trained yourself not to see. If it were you standing in that lobby, would you have spoken up for Damon? There's a detail only sharp-eyed viewers will notice at minute 4:23. Pause and look for the hidden clue that revealed his expertise. Share this story if you believe greatness can emerge from anywhere. Subscribe to Black Tales Stories for more incredible tales of hidden potential that changed everything in 60 seconds. Remember, every janitor might be an engineer waiting for recognition.